I'm Naima Latif with today's 10-minute tip for how to grow your own food. Today we're going to talk about composting. We're literally making soil. This is our compost pile. Now, we spent some time gathering food scraps, organic scraps, no meat, but fruits and vegetable scraps. And you mix it together with soil and other greenery. You got grass, leaves, things that are going to add some nitrogen to the mix. Because when you see a lot of growth of things like dandelions and clover, it's a sign that your soil is lacking nitrogen. So, what you want to do is create nitrogen rich soil by adding those organic scraps to your mix. And over time, what you will produce is healthy soil. So we've got our, let's take this off. This is from our avocado. So we got avocado and orange peels, and we've got a bit of leavings from our lettuce, and all of these things will break down over time. It's good if you can kind of break them up a little bit, but they will decompose as you add them to your pile. Then you want to mix in all of these things so that they're kind of buried under the dirt. And you got things like, banana peel, which looks like it's already starting to decompose there. Bit of a lettuce head. So these are things that you're adding to the mix. And it's important to turn your compost pile. Now, this is an outdoor pile which is exposed to the elements. And because it's exposed, it's going to also get rained on, because a compost pile needs some moisture and it needs a bit of oxygen. But the whole point is for this pile to decompose and turn back into soil. That's the exciting thing about Mother Nature, is that everything is always recycling and turning back into its original form. So there we go. Have to use a different tool here. But take a look at all of the elements of this compost pile. And it's good when you can break up things. You're gonna have branches. The more you break up things, the faster it will decompose. And then you want to be able to turn it over. And we've got some space here where we have some soil, some of the leaves that have turned brown. That's what plants do once they're disconnected from their roots. So this is going to be a process of taking things back to its origin. So composting is a regular part of your food growing process. And it's a part of the recycling process that you want to make sure you have a space, either maybe behind a garage or, somewhere where your pile can get access to some air and some water, maybe from the rain. And you can also, and you look closely, you can also have a place to deposit many of your yard waste, your grass. If you're mowing your lawn, you want to add grass clippings. Trimming your tree, you want to add those clippings. And you want to combine all of that so that what you get is a rich combination. And also, what you get is a chance to recycle everything that you use so that nothing is wasted, even in your kitchen. We're going to just kind of poke through this a little bit so you can see underneath. Underneath, you can see where the soil is dark. And when you turn it over, you see black dirt underneath, because over time, what it's going to do is turn into the rich black soil that you're really going to need to add to your garden. We want to add soil to all of these plants, give them a nice cushion to grow, and healthy soil that's got enough nitrogen in it. That is the thing that is important, because if your soil is lacking nitrogen, you're going to see, as we see in the yard here, other kind of plants that grow up that add to the nitrogen. So the earth is always trying to balance itself. It's always trying to give itself enough of a balance so that everything is healthy. It's no accident when you see certain kinds of plants growing, because they're showing you what is missing. They're showing you what has to be added so that the soil can be healthy. And you see all along where the fence and in other places where you're going to see a lot of things such as dandelions, clover, and it's going to show you where you got, unfortunately, some deficiencies. So what we make sure we do is create compost, create some kind of way that we can replenish what the earth needs, use our food scraps to help in the process. And we're going to turn over and mix in all of the food scraps. Now, some might say, well, what about rodents and things like that? Well, you can't really worry too much about that. It's outdoors. Yeah, they may take bits of the fruit and scrape it clean and that sort of thing, but ultimately, what you're going to get is a way to recycle everything so that the soil that you actually are making may be what you use for next year's crop. So this compost pile is going to be here for the entire season, and at some point, some of the dirt underneath will be used for compost in this year's crop, because we've got all the way up to harvest time in October. But what we do want to do is make sure that nothing is wasted. So composting, gathering those materials, help to give necessary nutrients to the soil is what you want to do. So find a spot in your yard and make that compost pile. Sometimes you can have a structure and make a bin, but we see it's good for it to, and if you don't have time to regularly water it and turn it and all this sort of thing, sometimes it's best if it's outside. That way it gets access to the rain. Ultimately, what you're doing is remaking soil. I'm Naima Latif. Grow what you eat. See you next.